What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nintendo Pal Block for the week of, I don't know, what's 5/12? May 12th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrick, and alongside me, as always, the beautiful, beautiful man over there, Edward Varnell. Ed, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I need Konami to do a remake of Castlevania 2 Summer's Quest with new graphics, and I need it on the Nintendo Switch or 3DS/2DS XL. Get on that, Konami.
Wow. Okay. Well, like we said at the end of the episode last week, we are recording 2 episodes in a row because I am currently enjoying my vacation. So I did this for you. You are welcome.
And I'm currently playing video games. So
yeah, I am also probably playing Mario Kart on a pool chair, or I don't know what we're doing yet, but I don't know. You'll probably see a Facebook video of me at some point, or Instagram video of me doing something really fun and stupid. So, but we're going to skip what we've been playing because I don't know what to tell you, except it's probably been Mario Kart for me. And hopefully Ed's beaten Zelda by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
can I quick thing? I didn't say for the last episode because I went crazy shopping at for the Golden Sale on PSN. I got a lot of weird Japanese games, so do check out for that later on in this month. It's going to be very interesting.
Man, I don't even know what to do with you right now.
Dude, I finally bought Ion Setsuna, but I haven't started it yet, so I can't wait to play that.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And don't worry, everybody, I ended up debuting on Switch for that game. That is, if I buy nothing else besides Zelda and Mario Kart, Ion Setsuna will be the first game I buy.
Yes.
But yes, Corey, let's continue on the show. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's what the show's for, man. So last week, we got some listener questions through our Facebook group and Twitter and stuff. So this is going to be more of a listener questions episode. If you would like to leave us some questions for future episodes, you can join our Facebook group or tweet them at one of us. But before we get into those, we had another bit of news that we were saving for this episode. The 2007 World Video Game Hall of Fame inducted a lot of Nintendo inspired games this past week. So there are a lot of other games besides Nintendo stuff, but let's just go through the list real quick. Donkey Kong, Halo Combat Evolved, Pokemon Red and Green, which if you live in the US, it's Pokemon Red and Blue, and Street Fighter 2 were all chosen over a list of impressive finalists to join the elite lineup due to their significant effects on their genres and the industry as a whole. That's a pretty solid list of games right there.
Yes.
I think all of these games have a rightful place on that list. And we're actually going to be playing Street Fighter 2 in a couple weeks, so I'm pretty excited for that.
Yes.
Somebody made Switch box arts for Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue as full-on remakes for Switch. And I was like, yes, this is all I want in life is a Pokemon Red and Blue with man, gosh, I would even go as far as saying, like, I know this has nothing to do with Video Game Hall of Fame, but like if they were to make a full-on 3D Pokemon game for Switch and they were to capitalize off the power that was Pokemon Go last summer, like Red and Blue 2 or Red and Blue Remake would be the perfect game to make right now.
Would Game Freak be ready to do that though? Or the Pokemon company?
Why not? I pay for it. You'd pay for it.
Yeah.
We'd all pay for it.
Yeah. it'll probably become one of the hardest games to find. But yeah, like people
Yeah.
will. I mean, there'll be some people who will buy it digitally, but everybody's gonna be like, I want the box art. I
Hmm.
want both games.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, these games, pretty solid list. The World Video Game Hall of Fame is definitely something I think we're going to hear a lot more about in the coming years. It's pretty cool that games are finally getting that recognition for doing something great for an industry that's still significantly younger than a lot of other media and definitely a lot younger than sports and movies and TV. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's really cool to see these games get recognition. Last year it
Yes.
was I think last year was Super Mario Brothers and Tetris and what was the other big one last year? I think it might have been like World of Warcraft or something. Warcraft, some sort of Warcraft game. But yeah, definitely significant entries this year. Very happy to say that most of them are Nintendo titles. Really
Yes.
happy. Yes. I mean, you can say Street Fighter 2 was a arcade game, but come on. Who wasn't
It,
playing it on Super Nintendo?
right. Like
The
that game.
game the game that the game that killed the arcade was Street Fighter 2.
No,
Just saying.
it,
On our
it
they brought it home. They brought it home to Super Nintendo.
yeah, because Champion Edition was out and Turbo and the hack versions of them were out. So you was getting the slow pace version. You
Yeah.
wasn't getting the updated new graphic style version. You know, that was the way that you would learn on how to play a fighting game. You would get hooked with the arcade, bring it home to better up your skill, and then take your skill back to the arcade.
Hmm.
So they worked hand in hand. So
Yeah. Um yeah, so World Video Game Hall of Fame inductees. Definitely
congrats.
congrats to all the entries and definitely enjoyed my time with all of those games. So
Mhm.
but we are going to now enter the scary scary world of listener questions.
Do 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 do.
Oh man, so you have the ones from the Facebook group proper, correct?
Yes.
And then I also asked on my personal Facebook page, so I have those ones open. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. Uh, friend of show Antonio Guillen asks, I find playing in handheld / using Joy Cons for extended periods of play very painful. I know some rich people have pro controllers, and then he stares at us like we're the monsters. But for everyone else of sober mind, would you agree that this is unacceptable and every console should come with a comfortable controller? Um, I don't know. I haven't really had a hard time with the Joy Cons, especially in handheld mode.
Mhm.
Uh, at Mario Kart took some adjusting, but and like after a couple extended periods of Mario Kart, I did feel my thumb kind of getting sore because it was more reaching behind its natural position. Uh, but other than that, like playing Shovel Knight in handheld mode, playing Mr. Shifty, even playing Zelda, I didn't really find myself really feeling it. And maybe it's because I'm playing a lot of games without camera control or needing to press A whole lot, where A is the accelerator. So like that's kind of where that cramping comes in, I guess, for my thumb. But I mean, with Zelda, like jump was B, so it was very natural to just rest my thumb on the B button,
Right.
and attack was
Why?
let's see Y, I guess. So like maybe it's just because I haven't had a lot of experience with games that I needed to press the A button and the shoulder buttons until Mario Kart. but that said, the Pro controller is very comfortable. It is one of the most comfortable controllers I think I've ever held in my life. Like, it's even more comfortable than the Xbox 360 controller, which is saying something.
And I want to respond to Antonio about the controller thing. If that was the case, then Xbox and PlayStation 4 shouldn't be having the same controllers that they have for the last two systems. You know, Sony has never really hasn't evolved their style of controller. And I think ever since the Xbox 360, Microsoft haven't evolved their controller that much. They did little touches, but haven't evolved it. Nintendo is known to make different kind of controllers that's going to fit comfortable when you play a game. Now, the Joy-Cons, yes, they are a little bit small, but you have other options to play that comes with the system to have a better experience for it. So, if you want, if I mean, you don't have to, and sorry that it hurts your hands and your fingers, but there are options that you could save up and get a Pro controller, or you could just keep those controllers on the system and play on with the Joy Cons attached to the system. Now it depends on what game that you are playing and the length of time that you are playing. So if it's just the Joy Cons that kind of have a problem after a time, maybe let them recharge and rest your hands. Um, that would be something that I would do. But
I think,
Go
sorry to interrupt, but I think the thing that like the Joy-Cons do kind of, I don't want to say poorly, but they do have the face buttons and the makeshift not D-pad. I don't even know what to call it. The black C buttons, I guess.
Yeah.
From N64. Like they do put them right under the joysticks, which makes it very uncomfortable. And right above, especially the face buttons, the ABXY face buttons are right above that right stick. And if you're playing, I do wish they would have made the Joy-Con grip at more of an angle instead of a rectangle in the middle. Because like if you look at the Joy-Con grip, it makes the Joy-Con straight, and if they would have just angled it in a little bit, I feel like that would have made all the difference and actually would have made it a lot better to use. But that said, like I said earlier, I personally don't have problems with it, except for Mario Kart sometimes. But at that point, like if I'm playing at home, I'm playing on my TV and I'm playing with the Pro controller. So I don't really have a good answer for you. I do think that companies do need to take more time to learn how to make a comfortable controller at this point. It is 2017. I think, the GameCube controller is often referred to as the most comfortable controller. And I think that the Switch Pro controller is very similar in terms of, the rounded edges of the top of the controller. It is very comfortable. I think it might be my favorite controller since the GameCube.
Wow.
It's very comfortable. It's really easy to use. It's very comfortable. I don't know. I think the Xbox 360 controller is really comfortable too, but for some reason, like it's not comfortable unless I have the text pad attached to it, which adds a little bit more weight to the bottom of the controller. Whereas the Switch Pro controller, it feels weighted properly at the bottom, so I'm not having that issue. I mean, I do see how someone could have an uncomfortable experience by playing for a long time in handheld mode. The cramped position of all the buttons, and it kind of almost feels on par with a 3DS. And if you don't like the 3DS button positions, you're not going to like the Joy-Cons button positions.
But you
it's
have
almost identical.
But you have the holder for it, the Joy Grip. Joy-Con
Yeah.
grip that comes with it. So I mean, you could
Mhm.
always put it on there, and even that feels comfortable in my
Yeah.
hands. And so,
I'm
you know,
I'm talking more of like button placement, not necessarily how you're holding it. I'm talking like,
yeah,
just having the face buttons above that right joystick is it's not very comfortable. I don't think it's very, I don't know. If they would have made the Joy-Cons a little bit wider and had them offset a little bit, I think it would have been a little bit better. But I do know what you're saying too, is like it does fit a lot better in the Joy-Con comfort grip, and that actually feels a lot like the Pro controller. It's a little light, but like it does function as a normal controller, and like if that's all we had, you wouldn't really care, you know.
yes.
So hope we answered that question. uh, well, Ed, what's another question from our Facebook group?
Well, our very own Adrian Nieto asks, what kind of games do you guys wish to play on Switch? Don't mention specific titles that may or may not come. I'm talking about things like multiplayer or FPS action, etc. So mostly, what kind of genre of games would we like to we like to play on Switch, that we wish to play on Switch? Um,
So I'm not allowed to say Breath of the Wild too.
no, you cannot. Definitely RPGs is going to be a big major factor for me. I would love to play arcade style games and shoot 'em ups. Um, I would love to play games vertically on the Switch with another friend, or if I'm on the go, I would love to have that arcade style placement to play some of those old retro style games. Like the games that came on the main board and things like that. I would love to play that on Switch. Neo Geo is kind of giving me that feel, even though I don't own the Switch yet. But Neo Geo is giving me that arcade feel that and for some games that I just never got a chance to play. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Of course, platformers is a must. I want some more beat 'em ups. I need some 2D beat 'em ups. More or less Metroidvania games. I think I had enough of them to play on other consoles, and that's kind of giving the indie developers like comfort. It's like I said last episode, a safety net. So I would kind of like to see them make something different, like a Blaster Master or a top-down Zelda style game. Just something in their own, like someone should be able to do a Contra or do maybe a Ghouls and Ghosts style game. Like I would love to see stuff like that back on it. Um,
Did you play that Ghouls and Ghosts style game on Xbox One? What's it called? I forget what it's called. But it was like $8, and it was basically just Ghouls and Ghosts, or Super Ghosts and Goblins. It was super good.
I have it. I have to look at it.
Castle Castile. Gosh, what is it? Now I gotta look it up. But for me, I really, and I maybe this isn't answering the question correctly, and I'll have another answer that will answer it. But I can also hear Todd Oxtra's eyes rolling into the back of his head. I really want a solid virtual console on this thing. And like I really want because like I totally skipped virtual console on 3DS and Wii U because of Wii. So I didn't really feel the need to buy them unless it was one that I really wanted. Like, yeah, I bought Super Metroid on 3DS because I wanted that game portably. I bought the Game Boy version of Tetris because that's the only way you could buy it. That's the only way you could play it on modern systems. But, I want a solid virtual console that I can take with me on this nice, beautiful screen. I can just see Super Nintendo games pop off of that nice screen. I mean, you know what that screen looks like.
Yes.
It's just, oh man, if I could just have almost like a pixel perfect mode of Super Metroid on there, or Link to the Past.
I'm gonna answer I'm gonna answer your wish, and this was probably going to happen. You got more thoughts? Go ahead and say it, and then I can respond.
I really want Virtual Console, but other than that, like, I would like to see Nintendo really experiment with genres that they're not comfortable with, like first person shooter. And like everybody is going to say, well, Metroid Prime is first person shooter. Not really. It was more
That's
of a
first
first
person
person
action.
exploration game.
Yeah, first person.
I would not call that a first person shooter. I would like them to maybe experiment more with franchises that, step outside the box. Like, I could just hear everybody's eyes rolling, but like Star Fox Adventures, like that kind of experiment, not like Star Fox Adventures, but you know what I'm saying? Like take their franchises and put them in genres maybe they don't really belong in. Maybe not Zelda or Mario or something, but like, I think they could experiment with some of their smaller franchises. Like, Hey Pikmin is a good example. They're making a 2D side-scrolling platformer out of Pikmin, which is a cool idea. Something like that. Kirby would also be a good candidate for that. Maybe not make a 2D side-scrolling platformer, but do
Well, they
something
did
cool with
have
it.
they did have that pinball game for Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
and that would actually I feel like that would work
Yeah.
great on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But
one of the vertical style games that I play.
mm-hmm. And like, I really feel like Nintendo, and I don't want them really to do this, but they do have all the right pieces in place for this. If they made either a hero shooter, hero combat type game, or a MOBA, a Nintendo MOBA, like they do have characters that fit the mold in certain classes and stuff. And I don't know how that would work exactly. Like if they made an Overwatch style game with their heroes.
Uh,
I I mean, I don't know how that would work, and I know like that's not anywhere close to being on Nintendo's brain, but I could see them fitting different characters into different classes and maybe doing something like that. And like part of me says, well, Smash Brothers is kind of that for them, is like their hero based fighting game, almost.
yeah.
Uh I don't really know what I want to see from them though, because I'm getting everything from them. I got my strategy RPG with Fire Emblem, got my JRPG with Xenoblade. I've got, my action adventure with Zelda. Platforming, Donkey Kong and Mario are obviously there. Real time strategy, you got Pikmin. Uh, you know, Fun platforming like Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby. Like the only thing that's really missing right now is a Metroid game. Like we got Star Fox for better or worse on Wii U.
Mhm.
Like we've gotten almost everything. And which brings me to my next point. This is something I wanted to discuss with you on last episode, but I didn't. And this doesn't have anything to do with this question, but I need to say it now that I'm thinking about it. So we got Mario Kart 8, right? On Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yes.
And people are saying, well, what if we get Mario Kart 9 later down the road? But what if they got Mario Kart out of the way right now because they're developing an F-Zero game?
Mm,
I was thinking about that earlier today. Like,
but we talked about that though. We
I
talked about F-Zero coming to Switch because
I know,
we
I
was talking
know, but
about
this is a very specific thought of like, we've gotten our Mario Kart this generation already, and if Nintendo's going to release another racer, why don't they do F-Zero this generation? Because we've
be,
already got our Mario Kart.
because they're gonna want Bandai Namco to make that F-Zero game.
I wish they would just give it to Sega, kind of.
Well, hold that thought because
Okay.
I'm gonna answer your virtual console one first.
Okay.
People are going to grow at the American virtual console. So to have a better VC experience, it's all going to be imports. games that games that's only out in Japan that never came to America. That's the virtual console that you're going to need to get to have a richer experience, whether you like it or not. They got games that we just never played. Yes, the localization and language barrier is something to, debate about. But if I could play something from Japan that came on the Famicom that never came to America, or, the soundtrack was different, and I could actually get a chance to play in that form, that would give me a richer virtual console experience than the American one. As for your F-Zero coming to Switch, now that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is kind of out of the way, if they decide to do that, Nintendo will have to study how well fast RMX has done, which it did is still popular on the Switch. Now, if that team gets picked up with Nintendo to work on to make an F-Zero game, that would be the F-Zero that everybody wants.
Wasn't that team originally pitching that game to Nintendo as an F-Zero game? Anyway,
no, not that I know of.
Somebody was making a game like that and pitched it to Nintendo as a F-Zero game.
Not that I know of. They might have pitched, if they did pitch it as an F-Zero game, I could see that, but only could see that they pitched it as the original idea to bring it to the Wii U or bring it to Wii, to bring it as an indie game. That's the only thing I could actually think of. Now, because they have experience in racing game and making a great racing game, if they got blessed with the F-Zero license, that's guaranteed sales, not only for that company, but for Nintendo. Sega doesn't need it because Sega needs to work on their virtual racing series and try to get that on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Bandai Namco, yes, they got the arcade version of F-Zero and Mario Kart. They already got that, but Bandai Namco is probably gonna make something else for Nintendo Switch that they want to work on with Nintendo. So the best bet is the developers who made Fast RMX Neo. They would be the ones to give them the F-Zero license and be like, okay, and not license, but IP, and be like, okay, let's see what you guys could do, and then impress Nintendo's whole socks off. That Nintendo be like, okay, now we could go for it. And if they show it, and if they don't show that this E3, which I'm fine with, but they do it in a Nintendo Direct this year or next year, it's guaranteed sales. It would be, I think Nintendo would get a lot of praise for that.
Mm-hmm.
So now, don't get me wrong. I would buy it. I would look forward to F-Zero being ready for a Switch, and then go ahead and do Mario Kart 9 if you want to. But that would be the team that I would give that F-Zero to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was just the thought I was thinking about earlier. I was like, man, F-Zero would like I just feel like, the two games that people are really developing indie games for are Metroid and F-Zero. And like those are the two, like besides, platformers, those are the two most popular style indie games we have right now, especially on Wii U and Switch. Like those are the games that are most popular. Like I don't understand why, I don't know if Nintendo's like looking at that and saying, okay, they're either saying, A, why do we need to develop the games ourselves when we're making money off of these indie games? Or B, they're looking at that and saying, okay, this is what people want. Let's sit down and really make a quality game like these. And like which one they're leaning towards. It's just always so.
I think because of Mario Kart being so popular and making them more money.
Well, it was smart releasing Mario Kart out the gate.
Yes.
Like, there's no question. There's no question that releasing, Mario Kart, Zelda, and Splatoon right out of the gate for Switch is definitely the call to make. Like, there's no question.
But I'm just saying Mario Kart in general has continued to make the money.
Mhm.
And F-Zero fell into a niche style of game for
Mhm.
racers and stuff. And not many people have, not saying not enough people have expressed their love for it, but a lot of the purchases haven't been up to snuff. They've been good and people know how great those games are, but they haven't met those same sale expectations like Mario Kart has. And
Mhm.
so they, as a bit from businesses, they believe more in Mario Kart than F-Zero. But Fast Racing Neo has proven that people are willing to get a game like this. And even if they slapdash the F-Zero name on it, people will be like, okay, you guys are working with Nintendo. I can see some Fast Racing in your old, but you guys introduced some new stuff. Like people were hyped that not Captain Planet, Captain Falcon was in Switch. You
Yeah.
know, people got super excited to be like, oh my goodness, Nintendo remembers F-Zero and all the hype that went around it. So
Mhm.
people want him and want his game back on the Nintendo platform.
Mhm. And like I like playing so much Mario Kart lately. Like, I see the care that they put into Mute City and in the F-Zero courses.
Yeah,
There's three F-Zero courses. Like, in the carts that look like the F-Zero ships. Like, they put so much care into that. And if you're gonna put that much care into the Mario
and
Kart
it looks
stages, imagine how.
no, I was just saying it looks beautiful in deluxe. Like racing on it,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my goodness, this is gorgeous.
yeah. Even on the small screen, it's like, man, look at,
Yes.
like, it's just like the care that they put into that. Like, imagine if they put actual like resources behind an F-Zero game, what they could do. Like, it's just every course in Mario Kart 8 looks so amazing. Even on the Wii U, it looked amazing,
Yes.
but now on Switch, it looks even better. Man, I cannot say enough good things about the quality of Nintendo, especially lately. Like, we got a lot of quality early on Wii U. Like, you know, the HD remake of Wind Waker and Mario Kart 8, and you know, later we got Bayonetta 2. I know technically not a Nintendo game, but like, the quality we got. And then, towards the end of the generation, we did see it taper off a little bit. But now to see Nintendo back and putting all their resources behind these monster games like Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild, and like retouching up Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon 2 and ARMS, like, I don't know how that game's going to play, but that game looks phenomenal.
Yes.
And Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade, like, I rewatched that Xenoblade trailer again, man. Gosh, hit that first scene of him running through that field, running towards that town, and on the left you see what you think is a mountain until its head moves, and you're like, holy crap, that's a monster, and it's taking up the whole screen. Like, I just I can't say enough good positive things about the quality of what Nintendo's putting their money behind. But at the same time, like, you know, Xenoblade is not exactly a flagship series, and but they are putting money behind it. What if they put money behind F-Zero now? What if they started looking back at their catalog and started
If
putting money behind franchises?
it F-Zero would have to come out 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It would, and I don't know. It has to be a summer title. Like F-Zero
Yeah,
needs
like
time for a
Arms. Like, it could F-Zero could fit so nice in that position where Arms is sitting
yes.
now. June, July, like that it could sit so nicely in there, and nobody, like, we look at Nintendo now, like, look at what games they're releasing. What other companies are releasing games right now? None. People are starving for things to play, and that's why, again, I think Switch is doing so well now too, is like
Hmm.
new games to play, and Nintendo's the only place where you're finding new
New
experiences right now.
games. Yeah.
Like, what's the last game Sony put out? Horizon. What was their last exclusive? Persona 5, which is
Yes.
like, okay, yeah, I understand people like that game, and I'm happy for the people that like that game, but like the consistent flow of games is coming to Nintendo.
Right. Well,
And I don't
if well, I was just gonna say if this Nintendo Direct E3 starts to show off with F-Zero, like if they literally start off with F-Zero, I don't care if everything else was a letdown or whatever. People will be so happy that they're getting a new F-Zero. You know, and people and stuff like that would be like, okay, Nintendo pretty much, in my case, won for me because I'm getting a game that's been missing for years that I wanted to come back. You know, IGN or I think Nintendo Life was doing a poll or something, was talking about they're asking people what is their greatest tracks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And if I had to, all the tracks and stuff look beautiful. After playing that F-Zero track, I think that's one of the best tracks in that whole game.
yeah.
And if Nintendo could recreate that and show it off at E3, folks would probably be crying again, like they did Metroid and some other games. Like that would start off E3 for Nintendo the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think the Nintendo has so much on their plate right now
Yes.
with Switch, and I mean, still pumping stuff out on 3DS. Like, I think that maybe pushing this year and early next year. Like, I know they have stuff down the line, but I think them focusing on just year one is good for them right now.
Yes.
And maybe October, November, maybe have a direct that lays out 2018,
Uh-huh.
And maybe we'll see stuff like F-Zero. Maybe if we don't see Metroid at E3, maybe they'll throw stuff that we kind of expecting, lead
Yes.
off with Fire Emblem because we know it's coming. And then if they're working on something like F-Zero or Metroid or something like,
But see, Metroid and F-Zero, the treatment of that will be more welcoming and acceptable and grab people's attention and hype, and definitely would guarantee Switch sales at E3. A
mhm,
regular
yeah,
a regular direct would probably do a little bit of the same thing, but the world of gamers are watching. Some of the
mhm,
retailers around the world are watching. So if you
mhm.
want to make
Well,
a big splash and a big impression and really get guaranteed reserves or pre-sales and guaranteed sales for the system, that would be the time to do it at E3 than a regular Nintendo Direct. Still have your Nintendo Direct, but it has to be the big one of the year, and that's only going to be at E3.
mhm. Yeah, plus another thing too, on your point of major sales coming off that E3 press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, like, a lot of hardcore Nintendo fans jumped on Switch at the beginning, but a lot didn't, because you can play Breath of the Wild on Wii U. You can play Mario Kart 8 on your Wii U. You can still play Splatoon 1 on Wii U. Like, they're major titles that they're pushing for the Switch, I think, are intended to push people to buy a Switch that didn't own a Wii U.
Right.
There are the hardcore that did buy it as well on top of the Wii U, but a lot of people that bought Switches didn't own a Wii U. And I think that initial push of Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, Splatoon 2 is to get those people on board. And then the people that are looking for new experiences go, okay, Mario Odyssey is coming. Fire Emblem Warriors is coming. Like, maybe that's when I'll jump on the Switch wagon. And then at E3, you'll say, okay, here's your F-Zero, here's your Metroid, here's your Mario Rabbids crossover game that I don't think anybody really wants. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the stuff that you are expecting down the road, will be at E3.
Yeah.
And that's where
Well,
you get people to buy it. It's like the promise of these new titles.
well, the thing with Switch, with people who didn't own a Wii U getting Switch, um, I'm not going to even bring up third party about this. Um, some people just said that, well, they don't got the games that are for me. I feel like the Switch has those games for them. Well, you already own, if you own the other two consoles, look at your library. Is your library big enough?
Hmm.
And if not, you would literally be surprised if you ask Wii U owners how big their library is and what games that they got.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and,
I mean,
and
I look at my Wii U collection. Yeah, the Wii U isn't exactly the strongest Nintendo console in terms of games, but I probably have close to 60 games for my Wii U, and they're all like fantastic. And there are some third party games in there, but there's also a lot of indies that got physical releases. Like
right.
next month, like this month, I'm looking forward to Darksiders and Axiom Verge on my Wii U as physical. Like
Right.
it's all about if you're willing to put the time in and dedicate yourself to an ecosystem. I mean, like, Nintendo is a very different beast than PlayStation and Xbox. We've said that a million times, and it's been
Right.
said over the last 15 years now, 20 years, even if you go back to N64. Like, I love my Wii U. I think a lot of people are going to look at it just as fondly as people look back at the GameCube 10, 15 years from now. Like
And,
we've said that multiple times on this show.
and I think that some gamers who didn't play Wii U, who missed out on that quality, I think I think some people were blinded by the numbers and what wasn't coming to their systems over the quality of the games that were on that system. And I think some people would have enjoyed the games that did come out on the system. And would probably, in my opinion, would say, why can I not get the same feeling of fun or the same experience on my other consoles? And a lot of people don't analyze systems like that or in the games that they choose to play and enjoy. Like a lot of people just sometimes don't think about that. But if they did, they would see that, you know, and you look at the games that's on that system, you would have been like, okay, now I understand why Nintendo makes the games that they make and why I feel like the other developers should put their product on the system. Now,
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch now is not only bringing those Nintendo followers and new fans and people who saying, well, Nintendo finally caught up to. No, Nintendo never needed to catch up. Everybody else needed to catch up with Nintendo. And still to this day, still need to catch up with Nintendo. Because
Mhm.
when your game or your system does good at one part of the month, and yes, PlayStation 4 somehow continues to sell well, that's good and fine, that's good and dandy. But it takes a long time to sell a system like PlayStation 4 and like Xbox One. You can flood stores as much as you can with them, but I think like pretty much after January that following year that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out, nobody was touching the system. The sales of it slowly went down. Um,
Mhm.
with Switch and stuff, yeah, it is limited, but I think even if you get full with a whole bunch of Switches, they're gonna continue to sell out. Not
Mhm.
because it's the hottest thing, it's because it's doing something different. Whether you want to see it as a portable console or you want to see it as your main console at home with the TV, it's going to offer you something different that Sony and Microsoft is not willing to take. You want innovation, you want new games, you want something new in video games. Nintendo is the only company that's going to do it. Sony and Microsoft is never going to give you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I man, I'm really sad that a lot of people didn't buy the Wii U. Like, it just makes me sad.
I mean, and people had their reasons of not buying the Wii U, but there's always something about Nintendo that you have a regret. Nobody really don't have any regrets when it comes to Xbox and Sony. When the
Mhm.
PlayStation brand, people don't have regrets of not playing games on that system. Nintendo, on the otherwise, people always have some form of regret and always say, I wished I played that game. I wish that I played that game. And there's more people who say, I wish I played that game on a Nintendo console than they do on the other systems.
Mhm.
Because guess
Yeah,
what?
and
Even if you don't own the other systems, you played that game somehow on PC.
mhm. Yeah. Plus, like, we had this discussion earlier today, and I was like, look, I really don't know what's coming out this fall that I'm really excited for, except for, I will play Destiny because my friends play Destiny, and I will get back into that habit. But like,
Mhm.
and like, if Shadow of the Tomb Raider is finally announced this year, like, I will definitely play through that because I think that series is amazing. But other than that, like, nothing else that's coming out this fall, I'm really like gung ho about being a day one supporter of, if I get them at all, except for what's coming to Switch. Like, I'm really interested in Fire Emblem. I'm really interested in Xenoblade. I'm really interested in Odyssey. I'm
Right.
really interested in, a Pokemon Stars update if that's really coming. And the
And
rumor is the big rumor right now too now is Pikmin World, which is Pikmin 4 is coming to Switch at some point this year. Like, those are the
and,
games that I'm excited for.
and for me, the game that I'm excited for PlayStation 4 is Detroit Become Human. For Xbox, it's Cuphead. What does the other two? What else in the library that's going to excite me? The Last of Us 2? No, because The Last of Us didn't even excite me for the first game. It's so paint by the numbers.
Yeah.
Scorpio, not really, because not only have you not shown off the system, what exclusive games is going to be worth playing on it? You talk about power
Yeah.
and how your games are going to look, but you're not telling me anything that's going to make me excited to get it. The reason I
Hmm.
got it in your
Yeah.
Xbox
And
One was Ori and the Blind Forest because of that art style. Reason why I got a PlayStation 4 was because of The Last Guardian. And
hmm
those games are already
yeah.
out and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we've had this discussion before too. And like, I know we're super off topic, but like, everything for everything that Xbox has put out lately is either, it's either a new Forza game or you're shooting something. And like, I don't always want to be shooting something. And then you get the PlayStation side, and like, everything is a third person over the shoulder. Either it's Uncharted style, or because Uncharted, Last of Us, even Horizon to an extent, all fit into that mold. Or like, and they're even putting stuff like God of War into that mold too, like
Yeah.
over the shoulder. We're gonna try to tell a compelling story, which, like, the most compelling game Sony's put out this generation, for me at least, was Infamous. Like, I've said that already. Like, I didn't think I'm sorry, I didn't think Uncharted was that great, and like, The Last of Us is not my type of game. Like, I don't want to be sad. Like, I'm playing a game to get out of the realities of life, and like, sometimes life sucks, and I don't want to be in a world that sucks. Like, not that The Last of Us was a bad game, it just wasn't for me, and I don't want to be sad in the games that I'm playing. Whereas, you know, I this and I know I'm all gung ho on Switch and Nintendo right now, which I have been for since the '80s. Like, I'm sorry, but like, playing Zelda was awesome,
Right.
and that world was that story and that world was dark without trying to be dark. It just had that story to it, and like, I don't know. I feel like everything on Xbox and PlayStation is moving into a direction that's aimed for a specific audience and not the variety that I'm getting with Nintendo. I
Right.
guess is what I'm saying.
And you could say that, well, Nintendo don't make the games like Sony and Xbox can make. Well, yeah, Nintendo doesn't have to, because I bet you if I put a game if I put a game from Nintendo versus the other company, I bet you would have more memories playing a Nintendo game than playing anything on the other two platforms with their game. Can anyone remember the story of Gears of War 4? Pretty much not. Can you remember the story for Horizon? Maybe, because it's a hot new title. And but you know, can you remember what you did for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Pretty much, yeah. And you could, and from your one experience of Breath of the Wild, there's many more that's in that game that you could talk about
Mm-hmm.
with this, with knowing how basic the story is. But you can always be like, these characters are interesting, and actually finding out the story is easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo don't have to make the games like Sony and Xbox. I would love to see Sony and Microsoft make a Nintendo style game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The
Which
Last
is
Guardian.
by the time this comes out, this episode of Podcast Unlocked is already like a week old, but I really suggest you go back and listen to it a little bit. They were talking about the directions that Fable could go, and they were talking about Breath of the Wild in terms of building an open world that is interesting, that is stylish, that has a sense of humor, but also telling a compelling story that lets you kind
Yes.
of do whatever you want. And then, you sprinkle in the British humor that's always been a part of Fable. You sprinkle in the morality system that's always been a part of Fable. And that's how you make that game compelling again. And like I would love to see Microsoft say, look, Scorpio's flagship title, Fable. Here it is. Like I would love that. That would make Xbox's conference way more compelling to me than
Yes.
them showing Crackdown again. Them showing, I'm sure if Tomb Raider's announced, it'll be on the Microsoft stage. Them showing Halo again. Like as much as I enjoy Gears and Halo, like I would love them to come out and say, "Look, here's Fable, and this is what we're doing with the franchise." I would love that, and I really do to that podcast unlocked episode because it was really that 20 minutes was really awesome. Them finally saying, "Look, Fable needs to come back," and them comparing a Fable style game to Zelda was like I got excited just listening to them talk about it.
Well, it's a
You
lot
know,
of open world games that's going to get compared to Breath of the Wild, because that's how influential Breath of the Wild is. So, but Corey, let's go on to the next question. You got one.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just it's a habit. Um. All
The-
right. So the next.
and I would say that, and I would say this, Corey. Let's hold that discussion for another episode. Maybe next episode.
Well,
We'll,
maybe we could have that Fable discussion the week before E3.
yes,
So let's put a pin in
yes.
that. Uh. Okay. So our next question comes from your partner in crime on World 1, Larry Giver. Uh. You have 5 ports or remasters from other systems or generations on Switch, and then no more remasters ever. What are your 5? And they can either be Nintendo remasters or other.
Remasters. Ooh, okay.
Um,
Um, I could go first. Definitely Devil May Cry DMC. I would love
mhm.
that to be on Switch. That the remaster one. That Turbo,
I was
I
about
think, which is
I was about to say that too.
that one. We're already getting the Secret of Mana remaster, so I won't add. I really won't add that. But I would like to see Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door. I would love to see that as a remaster to be on Switch. Um, uh, Ikaruga
Yeah.
or some kind of treasure collection. I'd love to see that get remastered and be put on Switch. Um,
Hmm. Oh man.
two other ones that I would love to see remastered. None of the Mega Man games. I haven't had enough. Oh, Castlevania for two, Simon's Quest. Like I said earlier in the show, I would love for that to get remastered and be on Switch. That's four. Um, I would actually love the original Tomb Raider, like the very first Tomb Raider, to be redone, remastered, and put on Switch. If I cannot get that, um, uh the Legacy of Kain sequel that came out with Ezio or something like that. I had to look it up. Uh but it was a PlayStation 2 Dreamcast game that actually came out.
Are you talking about Soul Reaver?
Soul Reaver, yes. I would
Yeah.
love to see that get remastered and be on Switch.
Mm, yes. Oh man. Well, you said DMC, so I'm not going to take that one. Um, the one game I would like to see on Switch remastered and totally done in probably the Mario Odyssey style graphics would be Mario 64.
Yeah, I can see it.
Just because I've been thinking about that game a lot lately after playing Breath of the Wild, just because Breath of the Wild gave me that same feeling that Mario 64 did when I got my N64. So I would like to see a full-on remaster of Super Mario 64.
Would you want it in the Galaxy style or Odyssey style or
I
3D
mean,
World?
I don't know. It mm, probably doesn't matter. I mean, Mario is Mario at this point.
Okay.
Probably, I do like the 3D world style and graphics though. Oh man, that
To
game's
make
so
it
good.
cleaner and make it pop. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I would like a full remake, remaster of that. Like, man, now that's all I want. Where's my N64? I want to play some Mario 64. I guess I have it on my Wii U. Uh, let's see. I would like to see Rise of the Tomb Raider come to Switch. Just because I want that series on Switch really bad. Um, man, what else do I want? I would like to see that Beyond Good and Evil HD come to Switch. Though I don't care if they totally remake it, but I would like to at least the Xbox Live HD remake come to
Uh,
Switch. Man, so that's three. Hmm. I would. I'm trying to pick ones that wouldn't be like super obvious because I would love to see a remaster of Super Metroid, but like in 3D, like a new Super Mario Brothers, but for the Metroid. But I don't
I
I don't
would
want to
say
use that as a pick.
I would say Metroid Zero,
Yeah.
the Game Boy
Mm-hmm.
Advance one, to get
Mm-hmm.
remastered.
Yeah. Man, shoot. What else would I want? Ports. In terms of ports. Um, I would like to see. Man, I don't want to say anything that I think a sequel would get announced and then eventually come to Switch. Like I want to say Bayonetta 2, but I still am hoping that
For
Bayonetta
paying.
3 is coming because like man, there's so many signs that are pointing to that
You just
right
ready to
now.
you literally ready to get giddy and get happy.
I know, gosh, Bayonetta 2 is so good. And I don't really think we need anything from Wii U ported over, just because that system's still so recent and like
Yeah.
still like I those games are still totally playable with the Pro controller if you're annoyed by the gamepad. Like there's only probably like 3 or 4 games that really need the gamepad. But shoot, man. Um man, probably can't do collections either, can we?
He you can. I did.
I mean, you could,
Yeah, because I said a treasure collection, like getting
yeah,
all of those games remastered and being put on Switch.
yeah. I would like to see the Mass Effect trilogy get ported over.
Yes.
Because I still really love Mass Effect 1 and 2 a lot, and 3. Although 3 is the only one I didn't play through more than once. Mm, so I would really like that. I really think that game would fits a portable style too, just because like especially Mass Effect 2, the loyalty missions, they're not that long, but they're still interesting and they're good for like a 30 to 40 minute play session.
Yes.
So I get one more, huh?
Yeah, we master one to put like three's gameplay in it. Like take that
Yeah,
broken
that's the
missing.
thing. I if they ever did an HD remaster of the Mass Effect trilogy, I would really hope they would go in and like fix the gameplay of one. But fixing the
Yes.
gameplay of one would like you would totally just have to overhaul that whole game because like the how you level your character up and the armor and weapons you pick all revolve around that crappy gameplay. Like they all revolve around that crappy gameplay and like I don't know,
so
man.
so garbage.
Um Yeah, dude. I have you tried to play Mass Effect 1 lately?
Yes.
Oh, it's so garbage. Oh, oh, got it. A Rogue Squadron collection. Or if you can't give me all three, just give me Rogue Squadron 2.
Yes. Yes.
An HD version of Rogue Squadron 2.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I was looking at my GameCube games. I was like, man, what games from that era do I really want?
Cause see, cause I was gonna go with Eternal Darkness, but I said that too many
Well, I
times.
I think another thing about Eternal Darkness too is like that game, especially in an HD era, is really starting to show its age. Like not from like a graphical perspective, but like
Uh-huh.
the way it messes with like the volume on your TV and stuff. Like nobody has that. Like it used to be universal that that stupid green bar goes across your TV and turns up your TV, and then that's like that's how that game gets you. But like
Yeah. And
now
you
it's just
couldn't do
like
the erasing the memory
mm,
card thing. You can't do that.
mhm,
So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, Rogue Squadron 2, I would really like a remake of. Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if and this I wonder if EA is really like playing with a Rogue Squadron idea.
No. They're so focused on
It's
Battlefield and the action story game by that one lady who left Naughty Dog. Like, come on, really? Nah.
yeah, man, man. That just think, man, that those two Rogue Squadron games that were in development for Wii and Xbox 360 are just laying somewhere. They're just
Yes.
laying somewhere untouched. Man, remember? Man, they were. He was on NVC, right? That
Uh yeah.
that got and they were talking about the Wii version and the Xbox 360 online multiplayer version of Rogue Squadron. Oh man, that would have been cool. But anyways, Ed, what's our next question?
Well, our last question, um, it comes from our very own NGR co-host, Todd Oxtra. He asks, what Nintendo franchise is overrated? Overrated? And Corey kind of had to help him. He
Mhm.
said overrated. Oh, underrated. So, um, what Nintendo franchise is
Mm.
overrated and which one is underrated?
Pick one.
Yes.
Um, Overrated.
Underrated for me is F-Zero.
Hmm.
And overrated
Overrated.
is
I hate overrated. Man, overrated. I feel that I think Star Fox might be the most overrated Nintendo
I was
franchise.
I would say Kirby is the most overrated.
No, I don't think anybody really rates Kirby games that high though. I don't think anybody has like, oh man, I cannot wait for the next Kirby game. Like, I don't think anybody's
But it
really.
sells it continuously to sell a lot, but a lot of it
Yeah, but it
hasn't
sells
really
well. It
changed.
sells well. It sells well because parents are looking for things for their kids
Yeah,
to
but it's
play
just
it. And it's not like you and me are out there buying the next Kirby game. Like, I mean, we are, but we're not like
right,
we're not holding it up there with like Mario and Metroid and Zelda.
right.
You know,
I mean,
I
but
do I do feel that people have are holding Star Fox up there with Metroid and Zelda.
well, I think Star Fox earned it
You know,
to be that high. I think with Kirby, and no disrespect to Kirby or anything, because yeah, it does sell well, but it's just to me, it's something that I don't understand why it's popular.
Mhm.
I feel like it's just I feel like when you own a Kirby game, it feels still basic. Like nothing about it, I don't know, nothing about it just excite me, but it
Mhm.
excites other people, you
Mhm.
know. Um, maybe and maybe Animal Crossing, maybe underrated or probably overrated or even both.
Yeah, I think Animal Crossing is a little overrated for me, at least.
Yeah.
Um, I think Pikmin is a good candidate for underrated. I don't think that game gets enough love, and I think those games are very, very pretty and very, very complex. Like they look simple on the outside, but I mean it's traditional Nintendo. It's very simple to understand, but very complex to master. And I think Pikmin is super underrated. And I'm really happy we got Pikmin 3 on Wii U, and I'm really glad that
Yes.
it seems like we're gonna get Pikmin 4 on Switch. Like I really believe that we're gonna get Pikmin on Switch, and I'm really excited for that. Still the only game that I really think that the Wii remote and nunchuck worked the best on was Pikmin 3. It was the only way you could run and throw your Pikmin at the same time.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, that was the game I was most excited to use my remote and nunchuck for. Had the gamepad on my lap for the map, and then just use the Wii remote and nunchuck to run around. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, um, I do have one more question from my side of things.
Okay.
So where is it? Let me find it. Uh, James Flaherty. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm bad at names. I'm sorry. I really am. What's your most anticipated game coming to Switch? Also, what was your first Nintendo system? Well, I'll answer that second part first. My first Nintendo system was a Game Boy, and I got Tetris, boxing, uh, Fall of the Foot Clan, which was the Ninja Turtles game for Game Boy, and later on I got Super Mario Land and Link's Awakening, which were the greatest experiences of my life. So that's that first question. And then my cousin ended up giving me his NES when he got a Sega Genesis, and that's kind of how it went from there.
Okay. My most anticipated game for Switch is Xenoblade 2. My first Nintendo system is uh the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Um, I did though play Mario Brothers on the Atari. I did own that game. So I did
Mhm.
play the first Nintendo game actually on the Atari.
Yeah, I my first Nintendo game was Donkey Kong,
Oh,
and
mine was Super Mario Brothers and the Duck Hunt.
I did. My dad brought home an Atari, and he brought home Kaboom, Donkey Kong, and I forget what the third game was. I think it was Commando. I'm I'm not 100% sure. And then later on, we got Pac-Man. But my first Nintendo experience was Donkey Kong on Atari. And then, later on, I got an NES and a Game Boy, and then it just kind of grew from there. So I actually didn't own a Super Nintendo, though, until after N64 came out. So that was fun. That was fun. But my friend Brian always had Super Nintendo, so like I would go over there and play Super Nintendo, and he'd come over and play Genesis. And man, I clearly made the wrong decision. I'm sorry. Like, like Sonic 1 and Phantasy Star are fun, but man, it's no Super Mario Brothers. I'm sorry.
Actually, I'm sorry, I was about to sneeze. TurboGrafx 16 was my first non-Nintendo system. Ooh, sorry about that, everybody. TurboGrafx 16 was my first non-Nintendo system. The actually first console that I bought myself was a Dreamcast. And the first Nintendo system that I bought myself was the GameCube.
Nice. I got a GameCube for my birthday the week it came out, and I was so excited. Let's see, most anticipated Switch game that's been announced, either Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or Fire Emblem. But that's not announced is definitely a potential Metroid game. And it's going to be my answer until it comes out. But until then, Xenoblade 2, I'm pretty excited for.
Yes.
I've watched that trailer probably 30 times.
Yes.
It's real good. So
I mean, everything on Switch I'm anticipating.
I know. I'm every time a Nintendo first party game gets announced, I don't care what it is, I'm pre-ordering it and I'm buying it. And then the indies and the third party games that interest me, I will get on Switch for sure if it's available there. But Nintendo, I gotta try to get every first party game for Switch. Like I just have to try, So, well, that about does it for all of our questions and our episode. Next week we'll be on a regular schedule, Tuesday, Friday episode. This is just the episode to get you through the week, and to, me being on vacation and stuff, I wanted to at least get an episode up for everyone. And I thought it was a good episode.
Yes, it was.
So, Ed, I love you.
I love you too.
This is my favorite. This is the highlight of my week, talking Nintendo twice a week with you. It's the best.
Yay.
It's definitely the best. So,
yay.
But I guess we'll wrap it up. Sadly, could talk way more, but A, I'm tired. B, you have to go, and C, I can barely talk now because we've been talking so long.
Yes.
But Ed, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at @ThatRetroCode. You can hear my podcast, Optional Opinion, at SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and other podcast apps like the Anomalous Radio Network.podbean.com. You can find my other podcast that I do with Larry Gifford and Adrian Nieto. And once again, thank you everybody for sending in your questions. But World 1-1 podcast you can find on shoutengine.com.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can read my blogs on NGR Radio. I have my Legend of Zelda thoughts up, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, by the time this episode goes up, Ed and Larry were both on NGR too. So if you want a mini preview of a World 1-1 episode, well, but definitely go listen to World 1-1. You can find me at Corey Hudson in HD on Twitter, Corey in HD on Instagram. You can find all of our content on our YouTube page under NGR Radio and on ngrradio.com. Hopefully I'll have some reviews by the time this episode goes up of Zelda and Mario Kart and Mr. Shifty, and it's a lot. So a lot's coming. Ed and I are planning some stuff when I get back. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about
Yes.
everything that's happening, Ed. I really am. So,
Dude, like literally, I'm gearing up for E3. Like I'm literally
I know.
starting to plan stuff for E3, and it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And let's see what else. You can join our Facebook groups. You can join Ed's World 1-1 Facebook group. You can join our Nintendo Pow Block Facebook group, NGR Radio Facebook group. Let's see. What else? Is that it? I think that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, we love you.
Bye, everybody. We love you. Peace.